Hello, and welcome to another episode of Write Once, Read Many. Oh, I just realized I didn't prep the images for 14.4, so I guess I will just be quickly doing that. But this is the week of 14.3 and 14.4. Boop. Get those downloads going. How could I have forgotten? I was staring at the image, but not opening the image. Alright. 2 plus 4 times 5 is here, and driving as always. Trying to get the link out there. Hopefully people can at least enjoy the speed drop. Well, I'll just throw them out there once we get to the changeover point between the chapters. Cool. Alright. Well, to read the, audience participation reminder, the question this week was... Design your own custom-made Amy bug if you were Skitter and could ask for whatever. Let's see here. And, as far as the themes go, Vic is here. Cool. As far as the themes go, it's the Taylor-Amy ship. That's the theme of chapter 14.3. And there's a little bit of Taylor-Amy ship in 14.4, so these are some prime chapters for it. And as you could see, Vic made sure to take a moment when they're, reaching out to one another. They're literally so in love, she says. Right. Boop. Yeah, this is a great one. It says he's an effed up hand, that's sad, but I mean, look at that messed up face. It's just so parahumans. Anyway. So I think I'm just gonna get right into the chapter. So 14.3. No one is answering the phone and Trickster is pissed. Siberian has disappeared, and she's going for the other group. Tattletale whiffed it pretty bad on this one, as far as, thinking she had a high % chance on a guess, and then, instead of just running away, Siberian just blinked out of existence and reappeared elsewhere. So, Skitter still can't find the man that creates Siberian with his power right now. Sundancer says that they should just be leaving to join the other groups to help them, but Gru lets us know, the audience, why they can't do that. Bitch's power is wearing off the dogs slowly over time, and if they ride the dogs when they're too small, they might get bucked off or worse. So Skitter notes being able to tell how much smaller the dogs are now that she's actually looking at it. It was a very gradual change. Hey, Vale. So Taylor notices Amy and starts talking to her. She's in a wounded state, missing those fingies that Siberian bit, and Taylor tries to comfort her. Amy thinks the way that things are with parahumans is super fucked up. The way they can't fight back against the Endbringers and the unstoppable capes like Siberian. She's really just freaking out, but then Taylor counters by saying, Kingdom Hearts is light! I mean, she says, it's hard to find, but there's always a way. Practically the same thing. Tattletale tries to talk to Amy, and she flips the fuck out. Don't talk to me. Don't even look at me, you bitch. Continuing on, Tattletale says that this is important, and Amy shuts her down again. Trickster cuts in that they're trying to save her, and Amy throws what Tattletale said last chapter back at her. Turns out sometimes there are consequences to the times that Tattletale that can't help you when she just can't help herself be shitty reflexively. Things they come back around. After it gets a little bit out of hand and Amy kind of screeches at Tattletale, Tattletale storms off in an attempt to cool off. She calls the others and has Skitter deal with this. Taylor asks about Amy's hand. She's surly at first, but accepts bandages. Taylor is disinfecting Amy's fingers, and unlike other times, when she explains that she can't get diseases and doesn't need disinfectant, Amy just lets Taylor take care of her hand, lets her do her thing. So Amy asks Taylor if she's friends with Tattletale, then says that all her problems stemmed from the day at the bank, the robbery. And Taylor finds this to be a relatable statement for different reasons, but explains that Tattletale wasn't trying to ruin Amy's life. They aren't responsible for all the things that happened to her after that day. Gru, Trickster, and Sundancer are staring off into the middle distance, hoping no one tries to bring them into this romantic conversation. So Amy starts whispering so that only Taylor can hear her, saying that she has nightmares about Tattletale, and she knows Victoria suspected something, and she thinks that if she hadn't had this rift between her and her family, then Bonesaw might not have even approached her because Cherish wouldn't have noticed her. Taylor explains that they were trapped in the bank and Tattletale had to use the power that she has to escape. She's sorry, but thinks it had to happen that way. Vic says, whispering to Taylor about her nightmares. Heart. Yep. It's all there on the page, folks. Amy doesn't understand how Taylor can be friends with Tattletale and still call herself a good person. Taylor cedes ground and says that she's not sure she is a good person, although she does agree that her intentions were always good. This is the moment when we get the biggest, ship moment between them. Alone and vulnerable, Amy says to Taylor, "Tell me what to do." And the fans go wild. No, but seriously, she kind of begs Taylor, and Taylor is thinking, this seems like a lot of responsibility. But then out loud, she's like, okay. And, we learn that Taylor's a switch. Thinking of a non-combat way that she can help them, Taylor floats the idea that Amy get all up into her Corona Palencia, but Amy won't and says she can't. We get a casual PTSD flashback during that to Bonesaw asking, while she's, trying to saw open Taylor's head and whatever. So Taylor's like, I will face my PTSD flashbacks and ask for something irresponsible. But Amy's able to do them a favor. She can keep the dogs the same size they are. She can't power them up like Bitch can, but she can stop the power from fading. So that's pretty good. So Skitter signals to Tattletale as they move over to Bentley to give him the same treatment to say Swole that they just gave to Sirius. And Amy asks Taylor what they're going to do. She tells her they're going to save their friends and put down the 9. They know Siberian's weakness now. Amy wasn't really able to keep up with earlier conversations, so she's not clued into stuff, despite hearing all of it a prior time. So she's pretty shocked that they're just going to go and kill Siberian. They're like, just like that? Gru and Skitter are playing it pretty nonchalant. And Amy wants to be cool like them. She's like, I'm pissed too, guys. And then this is the moment of the art. Taylor offers her... Well, I guess no, this isn't the moment. Taylor offers her a hand that she refuses at this point to ride Sirius. And then Taylor says that she has thought of something else. She's going to send a bunch of bugs to Amy. And Amy's going to make new bugs with, like, powers for her to use. So she's going to go all out. Amy protests at first. You can't be my girlfriend. You're a villain. I mean, I can't give you powers. You're a villain. Val says, offers her a hand. She refuses mainly because her hand she rejected was maimed. So, yeah, Veil with the memes. So Taylor doesn't know how to respond in a constructive way, and before she can do anything, Tattletale swoops in and alludes to Amy betraying Victoria, to something happening. Amy freezes and Taylor jumps to her defense, but Tattletale says that they're short on time, and she's cutting the knot on this conversation. She knows what Amy did. Amy crossed the line, and they both know it. And then this is the point in which Amy crumples into herself, and Tattletale puts her into an emotionally low state, and then reels her in with potential redemption. And Skitter's like, whoa, Tattletale is a really good cult leader. I could learn a thing or two about this. So Tattletale tells Amy that she needs to start making the right decisions now, while she has a chance to claw her way out of the hole she's in, and then rides off without giving Amy a chance to respond to her. Amy decides to join them and ride Sirius, clinging to Taylor from behind. Bugs are still being sent to Amy to become something new. The thing that Amy makes is dragonflies that carry Skitter's signal like a cell tower or a Zerg overlord to nearby bugs, so she can extend her range. And so with this extended range, she's actually able to find Siberian and the guy who projects her. And so Skitter feels oddly calm as she gets ready to kill this guy. She's in parahuman mode right now. The truck that the guy is in has a plastic sheet pulled taut in place of a windshield because, like, obviously this guy knew that Chatterbird was a thing. And Skitter's bugs are trying to eat their way through the plastic. And he starts, like, swerving around because of this, and then the dogs head in the direction that he is, and Siberian appears on the truck, and Amy starts screaming. You know, it is Amy after all. So the dogs fan out to parallel streets, and Trickster uses a warning shot grenade to keep Siberian on the truck, because Siberian can't leave to jump at them unless they want a grenade blowing up the top of the truck or whatever. So I kind of skimped down and collapsed this. They go through a semi-complicated chase scene. It's pretty well written, but I have made it very brief. They use Gru's darkness, and he's not able to get Siberian's power because he's keeping his darkness from the inside of the truck with the Siberian power, so it's like he's blocked. Tattletale makes some signals, and they manage to get Sundancer's sun going. They're getting close to where Regent's attack group was with the other members of the Nine, and they get the darkness into place and use Sundancer's orb that's as wide as a city street now to cut a hole in the ground in front of the truck so that the truck, just falls into the pit and dunks in, and assumedly, like, kind of keeps going with the invincibility power a little bit, although Taylor says that they stop pretty quickly, so he's not just driving around underground. That'd be pretty lit, though. I think that'd be awesome. Let's see here. So, oh yeah, I thought it was interesting here. Sundancer briefly uses her orb to put it near a burning building and put out the flames. 2 + 4 × 5 said, earlier when you said Taylor's a switch, I smiled so hard that I almost got into a car accident. Oh, yeah. So they stop near the hole that was made by the orb, and they drop the darkness so that they can see what happened. Taylor has to peel Amy's arms from around her waist because she was holding so tight. Cell phone call to Tattletale, and she says that Siberian is still down in the hole, not moving. And then the new concern is that they've drawn some heat from the feds. All this activity and the heroes have arrived. It's a bunch of them. Legend, Battery, Cash, Ursa Aurora, Chariot, and Glory Girl. They're in flameproof suits described in the previous interlude with Pigot and all that. Let's see here. 2 + 4 × 5 says almost as in like figuratively. Yeah, no, I gotcha. Your smile was so wide that it pulled your face, which pulled your arm, and it made you swerve suddenly. It was... I shouldn't make people smile like that. It's too powerful. So Amy is worried she might have to talk to Victoria. Skitter signals to them where Siberian is and where her creator is. Right as this happens, and Legend looks in that direction, then Siberian springs out of the hole, waving the truck around. Legend blasts some debris and has Cash try to grab Siberian, but he has the equivalent of like a backfire on his power when she touches the like geometry he creates, and then so Cash collapses, and Legend grabs him before he falls over. All the heroes are pretty mobile in this group, so they're able to get out of the way of Siberian as she starts going for them. She leaves toward where the rest of the team is, so that where the rest of her team is, so Legend hands Cash to Ursa Aurora, so that he can fly after Siberian, which leaves them with Battery, Chariot, and Glory Girl. Amy tries to get her group moving to avoid a conversation with Victoria, but Tattletale specifically says they need to stay and talk to the heroes, so Chariot and Glory Girl pull their helmets off, and Victoria glares at Amy super intense, and Victoria accuses Amy of joining the Undersiders, so she stammers out, "It's just to fight the 9." But before she can really get into things, Victoria cuts her off and tells her not to open her mouth. You know, she's not happy with Amy. So Amy begs Victoria not to hate her. Hate is too close to ... Victoria's about to flip the fuck out, you know, as you do. And Amy can't even look at her anymore, needing to hide in Taylor's shoulders. Another ship moment. Chariot isn't worried about being sensitive or anything. He and Trickster are on the same page. They need to focus on the 9. So Chariot holds out an earbud for Tattletale and says, "The director of the PRT would like to have a word with you." Oh, also, I thought it was kind of funny because Taylor, that she thinks that Chariot is like she just sees Chariot as black, even though Kidwin was like, he's Latino. And she's like, oh yes, darker than white. Let's see this. Final chapter thoughts, though. I thought this was another good chapter. As far as chase scenes go, it's a good chase scene. There's a good balance of talking to Amy and chasing and convincing Amy and talking to heroes. So, I like that. Oh, 2 + 4 × 5 shift starting. Talk to you later. Yeah, just, I know that the chapter starts with them, like, in story being like, oh no, something bad is happening, and it's supposed to be, like, high tension, but for some reason, even on the first read, this chapter felt low tension. It felt like they were getting the, like they had a good way to escape or whatever. I don't know. Like, it just felt like they were back in control of the situation. Amy was finally on their side. They were going to meet up the two teams. I felt hopeful for them, but in a way that is not necessarily, it's weird. It's like vibes, but the story is trying to get you to have opposite vibes. So I don't know if it worked exactly how they wanted it, but again, it's nice sometimes after the like low feelings of Arc 13 and all the bad things that have happened to them to feel like, okay, they got a handle on this situation. They're going to be fine for 5 minutes. Greg is here and saying goodbye to 2 + 4 × 5. Well, anyway, I think I can move on to a 14.4. Tattletale is seemingly, to me, amused by this situation that she's being invited to get the earbud. And instead of taking that earbud, she sets her own, and she's already on the encrypted frequency or whatever, intentionally showing her hand that she's had access to the PRT's comm channels. And, oh, the dog wants in. And you can't ever say no to a dog. They won't listen. Because they don't know English. Let's see here. So, oh yeah, I said here, don't worry, Tattletale knows that Piggot already knew, and she knew that Tattletale knew that she knew, and it's just so much knowing and counter-knowing. If we went over it all, we'd be here all day. But per the director, the battery gets out a speakerphone, and Piggot is talking to the group at large. After some back and forth about knowing and revealing what is known, Tattletale says that she actually is surprised that Piggot is coming to her like this and contacting. But Piggot kind of starts walking through the timeline of what's happened with the Nine recently, and she kind of taunts them about doing a bad job fighting Burnscar in the docks. They actually kind of did fine in that part of the fight, but it still hurts Skitter's feelings. You know. Continuing to sum up the last few fights, Piggot says that they ambushed the Nine, captured 2 and lost 1. Then they had the rescue attempt to get Gru, and Battery confirms Gru is there, but different. And then she starts talking about the 2-pronged attack they have right now, and says, I suspect you're crossing the line of fearlessness and entering into foolishness. Which is a pretty good line, if you ask me. But it, like the other part a little bit ago about Burnscar, this gets to Skitter. And Skitter says that they had to seize the advantage while they could. Tattletale tells the heroes about Siberian's nature, the fact that she's a projection, and that she's projected from a parahuman man. Well, she'll slowly elucidate detail by detail so she can dictate the pace of the conversation. So, but she expands on to mention that Siberian can't spread her invincibility to her creator. At first, Piggot doubts this because she says that the other members of the Nine would have killed her already. but they explain that the power has range, so the guy's been able to keep up the balancing act and selling the ruse. Pigot gives a minor reveal that she knows about Regent needing to be close to control someone. For a moment, it seems like Pigot will bring up Shadowstalker, but this is one of those times that Tattletale drops more Siberian information to keep the conversation going. She is not yet ready to divulge to Skitter what Regent did to Shadowstalker. So she, says the part about him being a man right there. Or the creator being a man. Pigot thanks them for the information, but says it's not useful short-term. Tattletale's like, but it's good long-term. And Pigot tells her that things end today. Dun, dun, dun! Tattletale knows something is up, and Pigot gives this, great Pigot speech about how she never gives up, and she's not willing to take anything off the table because she's always fighting people who are stronger and faster and smarter than she is. But knowing that they're far enough in to this whole thing and the way the situation is, she tells the Undersiders about her plan, which actually serves her goals. Pigot tells Tattletale about the firebombing. Skitter objects that this is breaking the rules between capes, but Pigot sidesteps with a technicality that they never made a formal agreement of cooperation. Yes, I'm sure that people will really care about that specific technicality, Pigot. No one will think badly of you. Skitter says that their teammates would be punished for fighting the Nine with an attack like this without warning. Pigot says that Legend did warn the other group that it was dangerous to be in that area, but that they brushed him off, with some swears and so forth. The whole them being warned thing isn't very satisfactory for people who aren't Pigot, and Pigot tells them that she's saying all this because she knows they'll prioritize saving their teammates over everything else. They'll have to enter the fight to warn them. And Pigot is blocking the cell phone signals in that area right now to hamper the Nine. Of course, no other reasons. Tattletale wants to know how long until the bombs are dropped, but she can't do her thing because before Pigot set up this meeting, she had one of her lieutenants change the bombing time, but not tell her the new timeline. Oh my god, she's outplayed us. They'll let Pigot know the timeline as soon as she's off the phone with Tattletale. So, Crew and Tattletale are pissed. They're as pissed as Skitter. And Tattletale voices that Pigot thinks it'll be better if they get picked off as collateral damage. It was nice to finally talk with you, Tattletale. You should go help your teammates if you're going to. Fuck you, Pigot. The witty repartee of fuck you. So Battery puts away the phone, and Amy makes the bad decision to try to engage with Victoria right now. We're not teammates. We're not sisters. We're not friends. Tattletale tells Amy they gotta go, and they head out before anything more can be said. Skitter thinks she's piecing together what happened between Victoria and Amy now. After they've gone a bit, then Amy asks to be dropped off. They leave her behind, and Skitter keeps sending her bugs. Skitter says they need firepower, but Gru says she needs mobility. Amy doesn't really know what they want from her, but Taylor says, "You're doing great, sweetie. It's okay if you just make more relay bugs." With the relay bugs, they've gotten close enough that Skitter can pass the message to the other portion of their team. And while she's doing this, she's also using her current massive range to funnel huge masses of bugs in the Amy direction. Finding the other group, she senses that they're mid-fight. They're running away from Crawler, and Ballistic is constantly bombarding him, with assistance from Genesis, dropping stuff from the air, and Shatterbird trying to slide him around, getting glass under his feet and stuff. Elsewhere in the area, Jack and Bonesaw are skulking around. Bonesaw is using her mechanical spiders to turn cars into more mechanical spiders. Mannequin has yet to be found, so that's a dangerous thing that he's out of pocket. Taylor warns Amy to watch out for Mannequin, which freaks her out, so Taylor gives Amy a ladybug for protection. Taking the panic button, Amy looks a bit reassured by Taylor's offer. So, Scooter messages out to the other group to evacuate. Then she makes a keyboard of bugs for Regent to talk to her with. Regent types out that they're pinned down by Crawler. Scooter writes that they're coming and they ride off. Scooter yells to the others with her that they'll have to stall Crawler for long enough for the group that's there to run. So Tattletale says they only have a guarantee of 8 minutes before the bombing, and it could be any time after then. It's a pretty tight timeline. So Skitter sees the group of heroes mustering to go fight the 9. Oh, I need to... You know what? It's not ready yet. I'll switch the image when it's the thing the image is of. But yes, as listeners from the start of the stream could have seen, I was sort of didn't have the other image ready and talked about that. So anyway, so Skitter messages, or no, where are we? Skeeter sees the group of heroes mustering to fight the 9, and tries to keep them in play, and they're going to try and keep them in place for long enough for the bombing run to work. It's Vista, Clockblocker, Weld, Flechette, Triumph, Miss Militia, Assault, Battery, Glory Girl, Cash, and Ursa Aurora, plus 2 more that Skitter couldn't identify because of the flame-proof suits making them look too similar. She decides the best thing to do is to provide active intel to that group of heroes, so she sets up bug arrows with names to provide direction and distance to the members of the 9 that she knows the positions of. The heroes deliberate for about 10 seconds, then head off as a group in the direction of Jack and Bonesaw, which Skitter wanted. Skitter's group reaches Regent's group. Sundancer hops to the ground and gets to work making her sun. Skitter takes a moment to assess her bugs and finds that with the relay bugs, she's got nearly 1 million spiders in, and that's only a small fraction of her overall forces. Sending all the non-fighting bugs to Amy, she starts to set up the biggest spider web net thingy she's ever used. I wondered if this was the most bugs I'd ever controlled. The buzz of my power thrummed through me to the point I was barely aware of myself and where I was standing. It wasn't just the number of bugs, but the number of instructions. Spiders were spooling thread, organizing by the amounts they had remaining. Flying bugs were gathering in formations, carrying the slower bugs and forward and maneuvering the spiders to spin webs. Smaller bugs, the useless ones, I directed to Amy and formed into dozens of decoys, millions of instructions a second. So that's pretty cool. Skitter thinks about some bug facts, then feels kinda low-key good that she gets to use her extended range power without having to feel trapped. She dissociates into her bugs, thinking how small they are, like, not just the bugs are, but the people are, and even someone Crawler size feels small. She's got, like, a wider perspective than she's ever had, kind of occupying the space of, like, a 3 city block wide, 16 city block long, like, area, and yeah, she's into it. Tattletale tells Sundancer not to use the orb directly on Crawler, because of him adapting to it. The surrounding area has been evacuated, so Gru is going to coat the streets in darkness while Sundancer collapses buildings on the streets Crawler's on. They manage to do it super well right from the start, and they land a solid hit. He's probably not really hurt, but he still needs time to get out from under the building. The groups manage to get together at this point, and Tattletale tells them they have 1 minute and 45 seconds until the 8 minutes run out. And then they let the other group know it's the timeline before a bombing, you know. And they try to get their shit together and put all of them on 2 dogs in Genesis, but it is not a great setup. Oh, Vic says, so, like, does Gru need his hands empty to use his power? I thought he could just kind of do it whenever. I don't think he needs to, like, point his hands. I think it's like, you know how Tristan doesn't need to use his power, like his hands and stuff, to motion? So, like, when Byron uses the same power, he just doesn't do that, but Tristan's, like, swoopy arms. I mean, I think he can just kind of, like, focus it out. Oh, he does. Oh, he hands off the reins. Huh. Must have missed that. Rain. Dog. Darkness. I guess I'm not sure where he hands her the reins, but that's okay. Vale says he has to flex enticingly while he uses his power. Greg says, I think it helps him direct it, otherwise it sort of goes all directions around him. Vic's gonna find it. Okay. So we'll give that a moment, but then so the groups managed to I said that part. And then it's they don't have a great setup right now, but they need to leave right away because aside from the bombing, Crawler is getting out from under the building. He's laughing as he chases them. He loved that they dropped a building onto him. This is a pretty good day so far, and he wants more stuff to happen. Crawler's running after them, then stops to tear off and throw a piece of building at them. Skitter isn't able to warn them in time because it's just like incoming so fast, and Genesis gets hit out of the air, like a whole wing gets scraped off. Okay, so Vic's putting in the quotes. I felt something bump my hands. Gru was holding the chains that led to Sirius's muzzle. He bumped my hands again, so I took hold of them. With his own hands free, leaning hard against me for support, he reached out and buried Siberian in the truck in a carpet of darkness. I read this like 4 times because I was like, triple question marks? You know what? I think that he does need to direct it more with his new darkness, because remember they kept saying, Vale says, that is odd, it never jumped out at me. They kept saying that his new darkness is heavier and stuff. Maybe this is why I had that, like, thought in the back of my mind that, like, it's not a strict upgrade. I don't know. A bit of an odd moment. I guess he does need his hands to direct where it flows, like Greg said, so that it doesn't just, like, swoop in all directions. Good thing Taylor is good at driving a Doge. So, where are we? Yes. Skitter uses the moment that Crawler had... I forgot to say this part. After being hit out of the air, Genesis, then Imp seems to have had a bad landing. The fall was from more than a story up. They said like 15 feet. But then again, Taylor is notoriously bad at height, so maybe it was like 8 feet. And Skitter grabs all the webs around Crawler while he was grabbing that building piece, and it's like, Crawler's big, but this is like such thick cables of spider web from her million Spideys that it's still slowing him down. And he's got a bunch of leg options, so he's trying to switch it around with his running stance and see what he can do. But like, no matter what he does, he can't move unhampered. Imp and Ballistic pretty much need to ride the dogs now. Skitter gets Imp going onto the dog with Tattletale, and then she swaps out for Ballistic on Sirius's back. So she's going to try and run toward the safe zone. She lies and tells them that she has a plan. Crawler's being a weirdo and trying to get free of the spider webs, telling Skitter that he's going to pluck her eyes out with the tip of his tongue. You know, just Crawler stuff. Vic says, and Gru is feeling very protective. Or feeling protective. Yeah, he gets mad at her, says that she can't pull this shit, but then she's like, it's fine. Don't you dare leave me, frowny face, says Vic as Gru. But she does. Let's see here. So, hearing the stuff that Crawler's saying has Skitter freaking out, even though she's running, which is her second favorite hobby after fighting people. And she's trying to think of escape routes because of, the dual threat. Sewers? Might break when the bombing happens and collapse onto her. Skitter tries to think of if she could ride a wave of bugs into the air like an awesome bug surfing badass, but decides they won't be able to hold up her awesomeness. She tries to reason out if Genesis will be up to making another form in time to save her, and then she's like, no, that's not going to happen. And she senses the heroes fighting a group of people that Bonesaw had controlled into fighting for the 9, and then Cash whisks them all away, and they start getting ready for the bombing run, having Clock Blocker freeze them. Jack can tell something is wrong, so he and Bonesaw start running away as well. The others reach Amy on the dogs and shout a warning to her. Then she finishes up her work on something. And now is when we will open the image and the speed draw. Oh my word. What could it be? None of us have read the story before, so we don't know what's going to be on this art. It's really big, but Taylor can't tell what it is yet because she can't sense it like she can with a normal bug. It's hollow to her in a way like the relay bugs were. So she starts moving this new bug toward her, thinking that it'll have to do whatever it is. Man, I love the modeling on that shell. That's great modeling. All these textures are excellent. Sorry, I had not taken the time to admire the speed draw yet for this chapter, so this is me seeing it for the first time. It's really cool though. And Vale, now is the time to talk about the art. So. Scoop. Yep, I love it. Where are we? Skitter does the thing you shouldn't do in a chase scene, but who can help themselves? She looks over her shoulder at the person chasing her. Still manages to keep her feet under her and not fall over. She rounds the corner of a building and sees what this new bug is. It's a Hercules beetle that's 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and 6.5 feet long. She's gonna fly on this giant beetle and get the fuck out of here. Vale says, I love how realistic it feels. I agree. There's just something about it seems like it really would have that texturing and stuff on all the different parts, and the wings look great. They've got that, like, they look like they're those semi-translucent veined wings that the bugs have, you know. And like Vale's saying, it's got a lot of depth. Vic says, I had to look at so many bugs. So gross. So, taking a leap into faith, she gets on the beetle like it's a motorcycle, grabs the horn in front of her, then after a false start where she kind of crashes into the ground and then gets back up, she starts flying it around like it's one of those dragon flyers that the Dola gang ride in Castle in the Sky. She's super relieved when she gets into the air and she starts laughing. She's having a good time finally. And as the others come into sight, she waves and salutes to her team, letting them know that she's alright, and she pulls up. The heroes there are doing their final prepping for the bombing, using Clock Blocker's power to freeze themselves, and Skitter can only wonder if they'll get out of the blast radius in time. Vale says, I don't know if it's just the use of shadows giving depths, trying to figure it out. Best Atlas I've seen in any case. Love it. And Vic has said thank you once or twice here. Yeah, I love his eyes and how, like, there's, like, creases right near the front where the horn is. And, like, weird indents and stuff. And those leg segments look great. Yeah, really good. Final chapter thoughts. I mean, another cool fight scene. We get to see the other half of their team going all out fighting against Crawler. Like, the Atlas reveal is excellent, and I think the, like, Tattletale Skitter side of the team also does, like, a really good job, like, fighting Siberian and stuff. I don't know, it's just, it's another winner. Vic says he's a little freak, perfect for Taylor. Yeah, and you know what? This is another one of many streams and podcasts. We love a little freak on this podcast. Vic says, and the Taylor Amy moments are so good. Yeah. I mean, the Taylor Amy moments are good in this one too. They were just like in, I think 14.3 is most of their best moments. And then 14.4 is just like a good follow-up. Continuing the goodness. But, yeah, as for arc stuff, how these two chapters relate to the rest of the arc, just kind of good middle meaty chapters. There's 2 chase scenes with like heavy dialogue and negotiating in small portions of them. Vic says, 14.3, cuddling while riding the dogs, heart. Yep. But yeah, all the groups are coming together. We see we go from having dramatic irony of us knowing a thing to now the characters know too. And even though the characters know, there's still like an unknown ticking clock. There's a Hitchcockian bomb under the table because the timing is still obscured. So it still works even though the characters know. And yeah, it's excellent. Don't want to talk too much about the rest of the arc because I know myself. I'd get like super wrapped up. I'd be like, it's so good, and just talk about all the things. So I will move on to the characters. I'll start with all the Taylor and Amy characters from 14.3's opening. We got the part where Trickster's being angry and surly, and he's pissed at everyone. This is going terribly for him. He's almost angry sometimes to the point where it feels like performative. He's like, if Ballistic gets hurt, why I oughta, you know. And then you've got, oh my god, I just had a crazy thought. Could Ballistic put himself in like one of those Zorb balls, but like a more padded version, and then launch the ball with him in it to like travel to places? I would love that. Oh, and that's a non-deadly, well, it's still like very damaging, but he could launch himself in that thing at people and then like knock them over instead of like exploding them. Man, that'd be lit. Well, I mean, this is the thing, is we would need to come up with like a version of it where it would like gyroscopically not hurt him inside it, so he could launch himself around, and then his power becomes like a mover power instead of having to only be a blaster power. It would be excellent. But yeah, anyway, so Trickster, he's all like, Tattletale, I hate you. I always sort of thought the transition between Trickster's attitude towards them shifted pretty fast between arcs like 12 to 16, basically. Like, it's a huge swing, even like 13 to 15. And this is like a clear point where they're showing us, I think the inflection point was when they were captured in arc 13. Greg says, depends on how fast he accelerates stuff. Seems very fast, which would cause problems with blacking out, even if he's strapped in like a fighter pilot. They'll have to give him a Tinker Tech body. Vic says, Trickster is for real mood swinging. And yeah. Then we got Sundancer. She's being a beta like normal. And then we got Tattletale and Gru, who are both fucking pissed at Amy for not being more helpful and not doing things faster. Then Taylor, much more sympathetic to Amy. And then finally, to the star of the show, Amy herself. This has been maybe the second worst day of her life. Maybe third to the bank robbery if she really like elevates that in her mind. But yeah, things aren't going well for her. She's not used to combat. She's not used to having injuries. In these two chapters, she has to confront Victoria for a moment, which she both doesn't want to talk to her, and after the dam is broken, she doesn't get to talk to her more, so she doesn't even get to do like say any of the things she might have wanted to say. So, everything's going bad. Tattletale was fairly effective at swooping in and convincing her to do stuff, even though she hates Tattletale. Vic says, I love how emotional she is, and Taylor's like, that's weird. Bill says, hopefully she finds a calm, controlled environment with a strong parental figure to support her, so she can relax and recover. Yeah. Vic then says, like, when they're like, hey, are you good? No, I'm not good. Yeah. My fingies. And Taylor's just like, why does she keep complaining about not having fingers? I wouldn't be good either, Amy. No fingies, says Vic. Yeah, and then moving on from Amy for now. If we think of more things to say about Amy, we'll say them. But moving on to the Siberian and the parahuman projecting the Siberian. Both of them are doing their utmost to get back to the rest of the team. It seems clear that whatever ruses may have been going on, the Siberian or the creator really do care for Bonesaw and the team. But making real efforts to get back to them, you know. And then we've got the heroes. There's the ones who just kind of fight people that we don't see from. There's Battery, who's like, hey, you can't have this encrypted frequency. And then there's Chariot, who kind of proves to be like a real smarmy little bastard, like someone who you probably wouldn't want to have to deal with too much. He seems like a real asshole. And, like, I get that he's a mole and stuff, but, like, if he's being this much of a dick when he's trying to ingratiate himself to the team, then, I don't know. Vale says, I'd just call my swarm and get revenge. That's the Taylor mindset. Vic says, in quotes, was that intentional? Harming the lesbian hands? God. Oh my God. I did not even think about that at all when we were reviewing 14.2. I could have made some pretty off-color jokes, but indeed, Siberian got her. God damn it. So moving on from that joke, other characters that we got. Victoria. She was the next on the list after Chariot. She's fucking pissed, as you'd expect. She's as mad as she was before, maybe even more angry. When she takes off her mask, then Skitter says that she looks like the way that she like perceives bitch to be like radiating off all this just hatred and whatever, what have you. So it's a big character shift from before. And then who else do we got? Not much else. They kind of like, they meet up with the other team and, they're like, we got to get out of here. And Gru's like, I'm having a big character moment where I'm not going to let you sacrifice yourself. But then unlike before, she actually does sacrifice herself. And he doesn't get to cover for her or not cover for her and get captured or whatever. Well, you know what I mean, like not escape, like the plan. So yeah, that's like a weird character interaction between them, and it doesn't help his feeling like she disregards his feelings. So things are a little tricky between them. I'm good to move on from the character section. I think I said all I gotta say. The other characters are pretty peripheral that I haven't already talked about, so. Oh, except Crawler. Crawler's a big weirdo. That's all. Powers, knowledge, and world building. I thought it was interesting that Taylor's like, the Crawler voice and the Swarm voice are the same. We got to see a lot of cool uses of power. Not really in... I don't think we saw many new things aside from the Amy relay bugs and the Atlas thing, but obviously that's a pretty big thing that we'll have going forward, that Taylor's going to just have... And spoilers, bug name bug spoils, his name is going to be Atlas later when she names him. Because he's the only thing bigger than a Hercules beetle. The titan that carried the world on his back. And I mean, he's so awesome. I want to ride a giant bug motorcycle. Many people know this about me. But I was fascinated with bugs long before I read Worm. They're pretty crazy. Yeah, I didn't really write too much about the Powers Knowledge stuff. We kind of talked about it as we went. I wrote most of the stuff I wanted to say into... I even pointed out the thing where Sundancer's orb can diminish flames, which is cool. But, yes, on to the audience participation. For 14.4, it is Design Your Own Custom-Made Bug by Amy. If you were Skitter and could ask for whatever. So Vale said, I'm a bug phobe. A bug oaf? But is that bug phobe spelled all weird? I can't tell what you were going for. By the way, I tried to get Taylor's voice and was not able to, so I just went with it anyway. Okay, I'm going to read this out in Vale's voice. This is Valer. You know, when Taylor is Vale. This is tough. Okay, fine. I am Skitter. I am so freaking smart that it's scary. And I get to design my own bug like it's Christmas. And my dad is a billionaire bugologist. Entomology, blah, whatever it's called. My new Christmas bug has to do a few things. First, it can carry 10x its own weight, and its weight instantly adjusts to always be at least 1/10 of anything it wants to carry. Oh, so it would have like powers. It could adjust its own weight. And these adjustments can't break any sort of space-time continuum for too long. So it would have like a short-lived breaker power. Second, capsaicin is a nice idea to help with some offense when it's needed against truly horrible enemies, but there are occasions when a hero/villain/Taylor just has to go all out. Bullet ant venom that's delivered on demand through tiny breakaway hypodermic needle-like hair follicles seem like a good start. Miniature chemical flashbang grenade bug eggs that can be laid and activated either through timed chemical release or pheromonal interaction would be nice. And just in case it is ever absolutely necessary to just incapacitate a foe without any fun conflict somewhere, some neuter goo generating sacks as well. Yes, this is on one bug, and yes, this bug mess produces more of its kind. Likes to burrow and hide and gather together quietly with others of its kind in between times they are needed to fill out my swarm. It should burrow and spawn at a rate of millions a week, and no matter how much it burrows and or spawns, it always stay nice and quiet so we never unnecessarily worry neighbors or heroes or whomever. Last, though, certainly not least, is the ridiculous lack of vocal range for bugs. Do you know how hard it is to do simple things like friendly chit-chat or whistle a tune using bug voices? It's so hard to do. I want my bugs to have morphing mouths and tongues that can produce any sound any animal can make easily, and have them naturals at it so I can carry on a decent conversation when visiting anyone with a swarm. This will make for a nice start. And then said, hey, are nanothorns organic? So yes, there is quite a lot going on in there. This is the request that Amy would be like, okay, you're getting ridiculous. I agreed to give you... I agreed to go all out, but this is a little too all out. And Vale says, that's my simple request. Yeah, very simple. You know, this is going to be fine. And then Vale said, bugophobe spelled really, really bad. Yeah, that's what I figured. Vic said, Kaysen says he would do a giant-ass caterpillar/dragon thing with wings and big jaws. Also, we think just a massive crab would be so good. She never values her crab powers. And then also says, I'd recreate the praying mantis vehicle from Coraline. Ideally, it would have built-in storage like a kangaroo pouch for storing bugs. It'd only be big enough to carry me because I'm not dealing with anyone else's bullshit. Pretty good answers. Greg says, Taylor already has excellent stopping power and information gathering abilities. While doubling down on those strengths is tempting, I think that shoring up weaknesses will be more impactful. I'd focus on image because Taylor has a major PR problem. She needs bugs that can be her face and not be pure nightmare fuel. And I like the idea of Vale's idea of the mocking bug, but I'd also like to add that I'd want it to be approachable. Cute. I'm thinking bumblebee-shaped, but even rounder and fuzzier. Perhaps also a butterfly variant for events when something more elegant and adult is called for. Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. I love that. A big fat bee that talks to people for you. Or like a swarm of fat bees without stingers that talk to people for you. Because, I mean, the truth is, we love bees. We love to see it. That's why there's a movie, an animated film for children where a man gets cucked by a bee and no one questions it. We're all just like, it's fine for that woman to leave her fiancé for a bee. This is normal. Greg says, I want them so round and so fuzzy. Vale had said in the Discord again, kawaii chibi skitter bugs are worse than anything I've considered. Greg says, at least I didn't ask for love bug, love hug. It's true. I'm glad that no one wanted the love bug. But that is my terrifying addition. I've stolen Greg's joke idea. I need the cartoon show Love Bugs to be now under Taylor's control. I had always imagined the Love Bugs are like ladybird beetles with different, what do you call it? Different cutie marks, like they were, My Little Ponies. Also, Vic just posted one of those pictures of the big-eyed spider, and it's looking kind of like coy. It looks, it's giving big Disney eyes. Vic says, I changed my answer. I want Lucas the spider. I feel like this is from something, but I'm not familiar with whatever it is. Greg says ponies, I guess. I think the inspiration is more Care Bears. That's fair. But I will say that Care Bears and My Little Ponies have a lot of similarities. They each have a unique symbol that's just on them. They have a slightly different power set based on their symbol. Their name is based on their, thing. I think there's overlap. Taylor tends to get everyday objects to enhance her swarm, like capsaicin. Maybe she could just put bunny ears on the larger bugs to start with the cute direction. Yeah, I'm sure that, that big centipede with a bunch of those creepy, bone-looking legs sticking out to the sides, all you need is little tiny bunny ears, and it'll be fine. I think this was a great audience participation question. Let me think of my own answer real quick. I hadn't made a real answer. I want a swarm of, they would be different they'd be like how Atlas is a flying bug that you can like ride around on. They'd be that, but they'd be wasps. And all my crew would be riding around on wasp motorcycles. And no one wants to get stung by a wasp. Everyone knows it's the most annoying bug and that they will come after you. They will have their vengeance on your house. You know. So yes, wasp sky motorcycles. Actually, I think they would look a lot like the STAP, the vehicles from Star Wars Episode 1 that the droids rode on, that was like a single battle droid could ride atop it, and it's like a Segway in the sky. Sky Segways. As for the question, yet another week where I did not quite get to making the question for next week. So looking ahead at 14.6. I don't know. It's about the big fight and the aftermath of bombing. And it ends with oh yeah. So for my audience participation, 14.6. Do you think it was a good idea for the protagonist group to split up? Boom. And let's put that on the Discord page. And let's start up the outro song, because it's the outro time. But yeah, this has been another fun week. I really like these chapters. We're long past the point where I think any of the chapters are like weak, really. I think that from what I can remember, the entire rest of the book is just like excellent. So yeah, that's good. I'll try not to be too effusive with my praise, as we go forward. I'll do my best to keep a lid on it, keep things in check. Vale says thanks as always, and you're welcome. Thanks for being here. It's really helpful to have audience members. We are still, of course, using the song Infestation by ScarlettXOX, friend of the show. You can find her at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. She doesn't stream that much anymore, but she has been a Twitch streamer in the past and has put out a bunch of music, so you can find her actual stuff. I think it's linked on her Twitch. I'll have to ask her, actually. We'll figure that out, and then we'll add it to the links or something. Greg says, see you later. Discord link can be found in the channel description as well as the stream description. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com. The full fan-made audiobook of the entire work is available not only at audioworm.rain-online.org, but also on most podcast apps and on YouTube. So it's out there, it's available. But anyway, thank you all again, and I'm gonna mute my mic to let the rest of the outro song play. Bye!